Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin-baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Real Life, Real Crime is a true crime podcast brought to you by Woody Overton and executive producer Toby Tomplay.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during any questioning. You can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?
Your crime spree was over, son. Yeah, you thought you had it licked, but Detective Overton made you should have turned to shit. Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Hello, everybody. It's Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I've been telling y'all for weeks now about the new Cold Case podcast that our executive producer, Toby Tomplay, and I are going to be doing together. And like I told you on last week's episode on Real Life, Real Crime, the name of it is Don't Call It a Cold Case. We'll be launching this podcast really soon. And the first season is going to be following the current investigation of Miss Barbara Blount's disappearance. And we're going to need every one of you lifers to tune in and help us solve this case. Without further ado, here's the unreleased first episode of our new podcast. Every murder victim had a mama.
There's no such thing as the perfect crime.
There never was such a thing as the perfect murder. It doesn't exist.
Every crime, every murder has a flaw somewhere waiting to be discovered.
Would you stop looking if it was your child or your mother?
We won't.
Don't call it a cold case. Don't call it a cold case.
Would you stop looking?
Barbara Blount went missing from this home in Holden. Her family's
intensive searches on the ground and by air.
We're currently searching the premises, we're searching the woods, and we're searching the area.
Barbara Blount disappeared
3 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
Barbara Blount went missing from her home just 6 weeks ago.
3 months
6 months later.
and still nothing.
58-year-old Barbara Blount disappeared from her home in Holden.
Authorities are still baffled. Even the FBI is involved.
Even the FBI was called in, but still, the case is not solved.
Her whereabouts still unknown.
What happened to Barbara Blount?
What happened to Barbara Blount?
After 7 years.
Still nothing.
It's been almost 12 years since 58-year-old Barbara Blount disappeared from her home in Holden. It's a cold case that's now starting to heat up all over again.
A criminal investigator and an award-winning podcaster are teaming up to handle a cold case that has haunted authorities for more than a decade.
In 2008, a 58-year-old Sunday school teacher named Barbara Blount disappeared from her home in Holden, Louisiana, and was never heard from again. Holden is a very rural town, about 45 minutes east of Baton Rouge. Unless you live in or around this area, you've probably never heard of this case. I've lived in Baton Rouge or the surrounding areas my entire life, and until recently, I hadn't heard of it either. But it happened over a decade ago. So why am I just now hearing about something completely crazy that happened less than an hour from my house 10 years ago? Why didn't one of the most bizarre cold cases ever get national media coverage? I'll tell you why. It's because Mrs. Barbara Blount wasn't a celebrity in the mainstream limelight. She wasn't a famous millionaire with a nasty cocaine habit or a recording artist with a song on the Billboard Hot 100. She was a Sunday school teacher. She was a widow, and she was a phenomenal mother who loved her children more than anything in the world. She dreamed of having grandchildren. She prayed every day and night. She kept her house impeccably clean, and she would help anyone in need or in distress. By all accounts of anyone who knew her or knew of her, she was basically a saint with no enemies.
Because really, she never did anything bad to anybody. She'd help you. She'd do anything for you except hurt you.
And still, on May 2nd, 2008, she just disappeared. Local law enforcement investigated, and even the FBI was brought in to help out, and they all did a fine job. But the series of events immediately following her disappearance were uncanny. Investigators had everything working against them. Any clues or evidence were just washed away, literally. Now,
spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
Law enforcement can only dedicate so much time and resources to working a case until they need to move on. I want to be clear. It's not their fault. There's plenty of crime and murders happening worldwide, and investigators need to investigate those. Sometimes, especially when a case isn't super high profile, it just goes cold.
Bess, it's been almost 12 years since 58-year-old Barbara Blount disappeared from her home in
But just because it wasn't a Hollywood scandalous affair or a high-profile case, should the world just forget about it and move on? Stop looking for answers because Mrs. Barbara Blount was just a good everyday person and not a celebrity? Of course not. Good people deserve justice as much as anyone, right? Meanwhile, Mrs. Barbara Blount had a son and a daughter and sisters and brothers and cousins and family, and they've all been haunted by this nightmare every day for the last 12 years, praying for answers. They deserve those answers and closure to this horrific chapter of their lives. If you can, truly try to imagine if your sister or your mother just went missing one day. Would you ever stop looking? I wouldn't. Not until I had answers. Mrs. Barbara Blount didn't live a high-risk or dangerous lifestyle often associated with cases where adults go missing. In fact, she was the farthest thing from that, which is why this case is so baffling to me. On a Friday in May in 2008, relatives came by her house to discover her car missing, the front door open, and pots and pans scattered throughout the kitchen. And that was it. I'm Toby Tompley. Who I am isn't important to this story yet. So for now, just think of me as a guy who wants answers. But to give you a quick background on me in 2 sentences or less, I'm a recording artist. I'm a singer, songwriter, guitar player, music producer, and audiobook narrator. So why in the world am I investigating a cold case? Well, as of the last year, I'm also a true crime podcast producer. As it turns out, this case was basically placed in my lap, and I couldn't look the other way. So, starting today, I'm adding investigative journalist to my list of titles. Again, who I am isn't important just yet. But you know what is? The hundreds of thousands of cold cases out there, including Miss Barbara Blount's, just waiting to be solved. And no one has been solving them. Well, not no one. Someone has. That man's name is Woody Overton. I'll tell you about Woody in just a minute. There are also dozens, if not hundreds, of cold case podcasts, and I have several favorites myself. I encourage you to check them all out. Having said that, I don't know of many that are currently solving cold cases. In fact, before I met Woody Overton, I had only listened to one true crime podcast that followed the trail of a cold case and actually solved it. Did you know that less than 1% of all cold cases ever get solved? And that percentage goes down as the years go on. It's an understatement to say that solving one is pretty phenomenal. Which brings me to Woody and the reason why I'm doing this. So, who is Woody Overton? In short, he's a fixer, a solver. In addition to being an incredible storyteller, Woody is a former state police homicide detective, former SWAT team member, former U.S. Army sergeant, former prison guard. The list goes on and on. He's a board-certified polygraphist, which means he's licensed to give polygraph tests. In fact, he's renowned as one of the top polygraphists in the country. He's basically a human lie detector. He's also the host of an award-winning true crime podcast.
Detective Overton made your sugar turn to shit.
Woody and I met over a year ago, and I now produce his podcast, Real Life, Real Crime. He and I are very much alike in many ways. We're both relentlessly determined, we won't take no for an answer, and so on. Also, in many ways, we're polar opposites. I'm a creative. I'm like a fun-loving, happy, peaceful guy. Woody, on the other hand, doesn't hold his tongue for anyone, probably because of all his years in law enforcement.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
That's Woody. He doesn't care who he pisses off or offends. He's probably one of the least politically correct people I know. Don't get me wrong, he's a true patriot and always fights the good fight. But trust me, if you're being investigated for a crime that you're guilty of, you don't want to be on the side of the table opposite Woody, because he will find the truth, whatever it takes. At the end of the day, Woody and I always agree on this. If you're a criminal, especially a murderer, you should be held accountable for what you've done. No matter how much money you have, no matter what your social status is, no matter what color your skin is or what religion you practice. As the saying goes, justice is blind.
Real life, real crime.
I've met few people that believe that as strongly as Woody Overton. Season 2 of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, focused on the 15-year-old cold murder case of Courtney Coco, a 19-year-old girl who was found murdered.
Hey, y'all. You want to set your child up for success? Is your child struggling with a specific subject or need help with the subject? Is your child ahead, not getting challenged enough in class? Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program that enriches your homeschool curriculum. It offers practice in math, English, language arts, science, and social studies while adapting to each child, meeting them where they are. Plus, IXL encourages students to become curious and empowers them to choose how to learn. Look, we homeschool our son. No doubt about it. He's more of a visual learner, and we use IXL, and Cindy teaches him, and there are so many different benefits to the program. It adapts to exactly what he needs in different areas. So IXL is the perfect supplement to your homeschool curriculum. IXL offers interactive practice problems, educational games, lessons, and video tutorials for every topic you're teaching at home. It's easy to use, time-saving. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you are covering. IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids use the program. Kids can explore any topic in any grade level. They aren't forced into a single learning path like they are on other programs. If you're homeschooling your child because they were falling behind or because they were too far ahead like our son, IXL is a great program to help them get the exact support they need. Kids love IXL's positive feedback awards and educational games. IXL is trusted by 15 million students worldwide and has proven to improve performance in over 75 scientific research studies. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Real Life Real Crime listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. And don't forget, Real Life Real Crime listeners get 20% off. Y'all, we really do use this product, and it's been a godsend. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Mochi. Mochi is a telehealth platform that connects patients seeking medication-based weight loss treatment with board-certified doctors and dietitians to help them determine the best treatment options to accomplish that goal. Mochi's program is completely virtual, meaning you can access their services anywhere in the United States, and you will be meeting with their team online. You deserve doctors that listen. Mochi is dedicated to providing holistic, patient-centered care that prioritizes overall well-being with the goal of transforming how weight management is approached. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visit with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultations, and medications delivered to your door. Science-backed medications including GLP-1s like Ozempic and generic compound versions, affordable and accessible regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle. Reach your weight loss goals with science-backed, FDA-approved GLP-1 medications and support from real doctors and guidance from registered dietitians, and help with making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. Y'all have seen this. My wife has done it. My brother-in-law has done it. One of my best friends is doing it, and it really is an amazing process that works. So get started at joinmochi.com and use code RLRC to receive $40 off. That's join, joinmochi.com, and use code RLRC to receive $40 off and let Mochi help change your life.
In 2004. Former homicide detective, now award-winning podcaster Woody Overton, packed his bags and went to Courtney's hometown of Alexandria, Louisiana, where he stayed for 7 weeks and solved the case in 6. Yes, you heard me correctly. He investigated the case, conducted interviews, and actually solved a 15-year-old cold murder case in 6 weeks. He gift-wrapped all the evidence, all the undisputed proof, the names, and the information on the guilty criminals that did it, and handed it over to local law enforcement. When arrests weren't immediately made, naturally there was a huge uproar in the community. And that heat grows daily. Law enforcement officials have given reasons why the arrests haven't been made for months now. But mark my words, it's coming. And when it does, it's going to make national headlines. Hopefully by the time this podcast you're listening to now airs, arrests will have been made and the world will have justice for Courtney Coco. Ever since Woody Overton solved this case, people from all around the globe have been sending in their cold cases, asking Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, to investigate them. One case seemed to come up over and over again, more than any of the others. The case of Mrs. Barbara Blount. The Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office is now reaching out to us, to a podcast, to help solve this case. That is unprecedented. So Woody and I decided, well, we have to solve it, don't we? Our investigation into the disappearance of Mrs. Barbara Blount is quickly taking on a life of its own, which is why we are creating this podcast dedicated to investigating and solving cold cases, starting with the Barbara Blount case. Welcome to Don't Call It a Cold Case, the podcast. Let me tell you a little bit more about the Blount case.
Barbara Blount went missing from this home in Holden. Her family says the door was partially locked, but there were no signs of forced entry. In the days following her disappearance, search teams fanned out, using dogs and four-wheelers looking for her.
We're searching the woods and we're searching the area.
The family searched, law enforcement searched, the community searched, everyone chipped in, everyone helped. But nothing.
The search ended unsuccessfully. Days turned into months and months into years.
Somebody did something to her because she would not just get up and leave without telling anybody where she's going.
That was the voice of Christy, one of Mrs. Barbara Blount's 2 children, and that clip was taken from a news interview a few years ago. Christy has a theory that foul play was involved and that a person or persons were involved with Mrs. Barbara's disappearance. Barbara also had 9 siblings, a huge family. I've been told that Mrs. Barbara Blount's children were very close to her. One thing that I've learned from Woody is that in any investigation, you should start with the family and work your way out. So we're going to attempt to interview Barbara Blount's daughter and son soon. Hopefully one or both of them will have some answers, or at least some clues to point us in the right direction. First of all, I hope they'll be willing to talk to us, but I have no idea at this point. Regardless, we won't stop there. We'll interview as many people as it takes. We'll turn over as many rocks as we need to get to the bottom of this. In a few days, we have an interview lined up with Sheriff Jason Ard from the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office coming here to my studio to meet with Woody and myself and to discuss the facts of this case. It's a little bit surreal. I'm very excited about investigating a cold case and even more excited about the possibility of solving it. But at the same time, I've got an uneasy feeling in my stomach. So many things in this case just don't add up, and I don't understand them. Yet. It's not like she was living a high-risk lifestyle. I mean, she was a Sunday school teacher that loved everyone around her, and everyone loved her. Someone like that doesn't just vanish. It seems like she had no reason, that we know of, to run away either. It goes without saying, her disappearance is more than fishy. And of course, the obvious question looms over me. If law enforcement couldn't solve this case in 12 years, can we solve it now, starting from scratch? Well, the way I see it, we don't have a choice. This family needs answers, and we have to. Stay tuned. I have a feeling this is going to be one hell of a ride.
Don't call it a cold case. Don't call it a cold case.
Would you stop looking?
Get ready for Don't Call It a Cold Case, coming soon. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder Bayou. Peace.
Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Real Life, Real Crime is a true crime podcast brought to you by Woody Overton and executive producer Toby Tomplay.